when we are going to start with the economy of Guptas, just before Guptas, also economic conditions were there. UPSC will keep on asking the interconnection with the previous ages. That is why it is very, very important to understand what happened earlier before Guptas. That's why I always used to give the context that when we are studying about Guptas, we should just recap what has happened earlier. When we are reading about post-Mauryans, we should have idea what has happened earlier. Because most of the institutions, just they continue from the previous generation. Only few, either they increase or they fall. So this kind of developments used to take place for a specific period. But the institution per se continues from the previous generation. Likewise, Guptas, when we are talking about Guptas, during this time period, what is the condition of economy? In order to understand this, before Guptas in post-Mauryan, up to 300 AD, what was the condition of economy? If we talk about Neolithic, Neolithic is the age when agriculture for the first time started in our Indian subcontinent. That agriculture which started in Neolithic, that is continuing till today also. When something that started long ago, prehistoric and proto-historic period, prehistoric and proto-historic, when some development that started during pre and proto-historic, when we have continuing up to today, that means during Gupta time period also, those institutions are continuing. That's why we need to have some idea about what has happened earlier. Before this, when it comes to economy, agriculture continues, then artisan activities, then trading activities, communications like road network, ship network, then, good morning, international trade, exports, imports, all these developments are already going on. Now in Gupta time period, you have to see what is the status of this. What is the status of agriculture? What is the status of industries, trading activities, likewise. Just please note down up to here, then we will move to just make one India map also. After this, is this continuation only? For understanding purpose, I have given. Now, this is Vindhyas, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, then various rivers, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, then here Ganga and Gangetic Plain. Sindh Plains. This geography remains the same. Only technology changes what kind of resources utilized by a particular time period. Because today we are talking about, when it comes to Kashmir, in the recent discoveries like lithium reserves were identified. Lithium is the resource which we are thinking today, but lithium was there since Earth was there. Lithium reserves were there for a very long time, but at that point of time, they don't know how to use that resource. In 21st century, we are talking about a mineral called lithium. That's why we are using it. But in those times, only agriculture, fertile land is the major resource. And other minerals like iron ore, copper, gold, these are the. Throughout our history, the mineral resources and soil resources helped our kingdoms and empires to flourish. That's why this basic idea about our geography is important. Whoever comes, only one ruler goes, next ruler comes, and one generation goes, next generation comes, but they are depending on the same resources. Just to make this map, then we have to give different. Let us start with agriculture. Give the heading, agriculture. So in economy, agriculture, what is the status of agriculture? And the story remains the same, only some technical words, which during Gupta time period, what type of terminology they used. For example, when it comes to agriculture, land is the major important one. And some land is used for the cultivation, some cannot be used for the cultivation. Different empires have given, different traditions have given different names to that. In vernacular language, different languages. In Sanskrit, different terminology. In Persian, in medieval time, a different terminology will come. Land under cultivation. Land under cultivation. This particular land was called Kshetra. So this is the term which, when you are writing in Gupta agriculture, you have to mention. Please mention this. Land under cultivation was called Kshetra. Land which is not cultivated. Land which is not cultivated is called Khila Aprahata. Khila Kama Aprahata. This is the terminology. And during this time period, forests were cleared. This is very common feature. In comparison with early Vedic, in later Vedic, forests were cleared. In comparison with later Vedic, Mahajanapada time period, forests were cleared, more land brought under cultivation. During Mauryan time period, again forests were cleared, more land got cultivated. During Gupta time period also, more forests were cleared and more land was cultivated. Now by this time, population is also growing. In comparison with early Harappan time period, in later Vedic time period, more population. Then post-Mauryan, more population. Gupta, more population. So population is increasing, forests were cleared. more land was brought under cultivation. Land grants also helped to increase the land under cultivation. So by this time, many religions, Buddhism, Jainism, Brahmanical tradition, many religious groups, now they were patronized by the rulers, merchants, common people. More and more land was brought into cultivation. Now these land grants helped. Population growth, natural population growth helped in increasing the land under cultivation. Measurements. Land measurement. The terms used Nivartana, Nivartana, Kulyavapa. These are the names. And with these names, they used to measure the land. Kulya, Vapa, Drona, Vapa, so it's like measurement means, for example, Dronavapa means in the present. In what measurement we calculate how much land you have, like that. Acre, hectare, that was the term. This is present day. In those times, Kulyavapa, Dronavapa were the terms used. If we compare with the present day, Dronavapa like 1.5 acre to 2 acres. Yes, it's like today terms like biga. There are different terminologies. In local language also different terminologies. And in English, biga when it comes to Indian language, acre, hectare. These are the measurements. But 1 hectare and acre different. Hectare is not equal to acre. 1 hectare is around 2.5 acres will come. So likewise, in those times, these were the terms used. Around example is Dronavapa means 1.5 acre to 2 acres. Kulyavapa means 12 to 16 acres. 12 to 16 acres. So likewise, they were using these land measurements. Next one. And in fact, it was asked in prelims also earlier. Simple, they were asked during Gupta time or in ancient time period, the terms Kulyavapa and Dronavapa related to. Answer is this land measurement, likewise. These are the measurements. Then different type of crops. More land was brought into cultivation. Already Gangetic Valley fertile soil. More land, more forests were cleared, more land brought into cultivation. And these crops also, same crops from the previous generation, they continue. Rice, wheat, barley. Rice, wheat, barley. pulses like grams, vegetables, oil seeds. Same story continues from the previous generation. Sugarcane, and cash crop like cotton. So these are some of the examples of crops. Now when it comes to the water resources, irrigation. Can you recollect what were the irrigation facilities during previous time period? Can you give some example? Okay. During Mauryan time period, was there any evidence of irrigation? You just imagine India map in Gangetic Valley, in Gujarat, in Orissa. Is there any evidence to show that some kind of dams, canals, reservoirs were constructed during Mauryan time period? One inscription, Rudradaman inscription, talks about which lake, which Sudarshana lake, Sudarshana reservoir, and even during Gupta time period also that continues. Chandragupta Maurya time period that was constructed. Rudradaman repaired it. Now Skandagupta once again repair the Sudarshana lake. Irrigation. Reservoir. Lake means it's a reservoir naturally, artificially constructed, like Dholavira reservoir. Man-made construction. Sudarshana lake. Or reservoir repaired during Skandagupta. So just to give recollect, Chandragupta Maurya, then Rudradaman, then Skandagupta. Present day Sudarshana lake, I think it might be near Girnar. Still it is there. Still it is there. Now it becomes like a monument, the historical monument for tourism purpose. One example to show that irrigation facility is continued. Next, ponds, tanks. Ponds, tanks, particularly used in Deccan and South India. Do you remember during Kharavela time period also, Kharavela also associated with irrigation? How he is associated with irrigation? Any example? During Nanda time period, there was canal in Kalinga region. Kharavela says he repaired or he extended that canal in his empire. So that must be continuing in Gupta time period also. Initially it was built by Nandas. Like this reservoir first constructed by Mauryans. Similarly in Kalinga in Orissa. Yes, Mahapadmananda, Dhanananda, before Mauryans. Karavela extended the previous canal. Similarly, it shows that whatever good elements were there in the previous generation, previous empires, those elements continued in the next generation also. Common. Even today also we see all the schemes cannot be replaced if whenever there is a change in the government. No scheme or completely every scheme cannot be changed. Only few schemes, names will be changing, or few schemes may be replaced with new schemes, but not everything. Yes, that is the best example. Sher Shah Suri policies continued by Akbar. Yes, military reforms continued by the later dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty. So once any new element comes, which is appealing to the mass level and it is useful for the public, whether dynasty change will not affect those policies. They will continue. And irrigation is one important basic requirement of agriculture, and they used to follow this. And rainfall, as usual, very common. Common source of water. Rivers. Common source. Yes, Sudarshana Lake, Chandragupta, Anubhav. Very good. Now these are the irrigation facilities, water, and even today also, in GS3 also you are going to write these things only. Because it won't change much. Only new elements will come. Like after post-independence, Bakhranangal Dam, Hirakud Dam, Krishna Rajasagar Reservoir. So likewise, big dams were constructed. But the common rainfall, still today also, we are depending on monsoon. And rivers, Krishna, Godavari, Ganga, all the rivers are helping. And when it comes to lakes and reservoirs, small dams, check dams. So in GS3 in agriculture, you are going to again write the same thing with different names. Irrigation. Now when it comes to technology, suppose today, water management technology, how water is carried or how efficiently we are using the water in present day, like drip irrigation. We are talking about these kind of technologies. Earlier it was only flood irrigation. And even today also, flood irrigation means just water, just flowing the water into the field. But drip irrigation is something which directly give the water in the root, so that the water wastage will not be there. And at this point of time, to carry the water, they also used one type of technology called Gati Yantra in later time period that becomes like a Haragatta. So technology. Technology, Gati Yantra. Gati Yantra. Gati means pot. Pot. Yantra is like a chain. So many pots filled with water, they keep like conveyor belt, and with that they used to transport. Suppose whenever there is a hill and if water is there, they will carry that water with the chain. So that some kind of Gati Yantra was there, we come to know about through literature evidence. Gatiyantra. This type of mechanism also came to be known as Aragatta. Came to be known as Aragatta, Aragatta. In prelims also, they used to ask simple terms like Gatiyantra, Aragatta in ancient time period referred in the relation to. Population is growing. When population is growing, food requirement increases, more land brought into cultivation. This story is very common. You can write for every period. In comparison with, suppose when it comes to Mauryans, same thing, they have same story. In comparison to previous generation, more population increased, then more forests were cleared, then more and more crops increased, and state also involved. In Mauryans, we have seen state itself involved in the agriculture expansion. In Kalinga War, 150,000 slaves, they were brought and they were given the land, and slaves were used for the cultivation. And whatever crops they produced, it is used by the state itself as part of state revenue. Likewise, state also involving, and private people, common people are also involving in the agriculture, and this is how. Now, what is the land ownership? Whether there was any land, now it's a very big debate. Many historians and Marxist historians, they used to debate whether there was any private ownership or not. Because Karl Marx says there should not be any private property. Every property belongs to the state only. What is required for the people, state will decide. And that is why this ideology only inspiration behind the nationalization concept in India. Nationalization of banks, one example. And that is why we did not allow the private entrepreneurs also. We followed mixed economy. Despite we are following in principle mixed economy, but when government itself is involving in the business, it automatically affects the private investments. And that is how gradually it led to the poor performance of private sector, and by 1991, and we had to open up. That is why our historians, Marxist historians, they were also looking back. Was there any kind of, like, suppose when British said, we don't know democracy, then what nationalist historians started looking? They were started reading about Vedas and our ancient text. Whatever democratic elements were there, they were highlighting. Whatever you are saying that is called democracy, we already know about this democracy since ancient time periods. And today also we are advertising like, we are promoting like the mother of democracy in the world. Today we are called the largest democracy. And when it comes to America, is called oldest democracy. So yesterday, therefore yesterday G20 also happened. Whenever India, USA meet, general description is the oldest democracy in the world. USA meets the largest democracy in the world, India. So we used to always promote. And now we are also started promoting the mother of democracy in the world, because even much before Greek Athens, Greek cities, generally Western countries used to take the reference of Greece people. Those cities, city-states, they were following the democratic principles. But much before that, around 800, 900 BC, that was the time in Greece. But in 1500 BC itself, in early Vedic time period, we had the democracy. That's why we are trying to promote like we were the mother of democracy. Similarly, when Marxist historians came, they also wanted some kind of reference in our ancient past. And during ancient time, Gupta time period, Mauryan time period, whether this particular land, was it belongs to the state or was it belongs to the common people? So that's why even today also this debate continues. We have to write a few points about that also. Land ownership. Okay. Okay, Chandragupta Maurya or Chandragupta? Gupta dynasty. Okay. That's why the glorious periods in history, golden age concept also emerged. Okay. So they used Chandragupta to further their interest. So that's how land ownership is another debatable aspect. And many people done research on this. There was a concept called serfdom in European countries. Even up to Russian Revolution also, this serfdom concept continued. That means some slaves were attached to the land. And they were utilized by the feudal lord. And they exploited these serfs. But when it comes to India, that was not that kind of relationship. People always moved from one area to the other area if they don't want or if they are felt exploited. Now, when it comes to land ownership, you write one sentence. Inscriptions from Bengal region refer to sale of land. Refer to sale of land by district officials. District officials to individuals. So this shows what it shows. When it's like a state government is selling. Government is selling land to the private people. That means private ownership is there. And this allows other aspect. In the first place, this land belongs to whom? Whether it is people or to the state. So this debate continues. So suppose if a single family continues to reside in that particular place for 50 years, 100 years, there is no patta, there is no concept. That's why in medieval time we see this. Sher Shah Suri started issuing the pattas to people, the private ownership. Now during ancient time period, there was a lot of land. People can go clear the forest, they get it. And there is no concept of this patta also. And we don't know what type of the mechanism they use to ensure this property belongs to you. The other way around also. We did not get the enough material to prove that there was a patta kind of mechanism in ancient, because they might have issued some kind of pattas, but they were perishable and they might have lost in the history. When it comes to reconstruction of ancient history, we have our own limitations to reconstruct it. And whatever remains, some inscriptions whichever we discovered, through them only we can identify. When it comes to this example, the inscription ensured that it is giving the information district officers sold land to the private individuals. Full stop. Next, continue. There can be other way also. Already it was belongs to private property. District officials captured it. When district official or when people did not pay the taxes, district official might have occupied the land. That is happened during British time period. During Jamindari time period, they issued the land to Jamindars, but those who failed to pay the land, pay the tax, and they confiscated the property. Sunset law, if you don't pay in a particular date, then after sunset, that land belongs to the British Empire. And they once again auctioned to the new set of people. So when such kind of mechanism was there, we don't know, in those times also might be there. And it's debatable. You have evidence for private ownership also. You have evidence for state ownership also. For example, Megasthenes in Mauryan time period says, all the land belongs to the emperor. Then Megasthenes says that entire land. It appears that every land belongs to the king. Exactly. So this is one argument of some scholars. Whatever tax we are paying, people are paying the tax to the king. So one interpretation is this land belongs to the king. The owner of the land is king. That's why people are paying the tax. But the other interpretation is, now you see, this is how interpretation will keep changing. King and king. People are paying taxes in two scenarios. First scenario, second scenario. Now if I want to prove that entire land belongs to the king, then what I say, then how do you explain the tax concept? If I want to prove that king is the owner of this land, then I say tax is the rent. The land belongs to the king. I am using the land and I am paying the rent to the king. In this way, I can prove that king is the owner of the land. But another interpretation, now I will say he is not the owner. He is only one official. He is just an official and he is an employee of the entire state. Now, I am paying salary. Now, what interpretation it will give?
Sir, if the king is taking the salary, that means it is for his own personal investment. But he says that money for requirement of sugar to go to work to protect the people. So it cannot be said as a personal salary because if you give me salary, I will obviously buy clothes for myself. I will not buy something for you because you are already giving me salary. So it cannot be said as me as a salary.
So that is why. So this is complete private ownership concept. That means land does not belong to the king. People are owning the land and people are paying tax as a salary to the king because he is performing certain functions to ensure the stability of the state. And this is pure democratic and pure capitalist view. This is pure Marxist view. And there is a middle path. Arthashastra, it says it allows some land belongs to the state, some land belongs to the private property. And this is what our ancient history is always giving examples of middle path. Buddha gives the middle path, Arthashastra gives middle path. After independence also, we followed neither Marxism nor capitalism, mixed economy. And this is the middle interpretation that king will have certain land. Whenever new land brought under cultivation, forest belongs to natural resources. When forests are cleared, that land belongs to the king. And when king gives away this land to the public, then that becomes the private property. And when that property confiscated, that becomes the public property. And this is the same concept even today also. People are there having ownership of the land, and if government confiscated, that becomes the public property. This is what When it comes to whether it is Sudarshana Lake or the 1,50,000 slaves utilized for agriculture, that land belongs to the crown land. The crown land, also called Sita. In order to handle these lands, Sita Dhyaksha was recruited during Mauryan time period. Mauryan time period itself. And that tradition must be continuing during Gupta time period also. But no doubt more private property enhanced and land grants also increased during this time period. During Mauryan time period, there were some lands called crown lands. Crown lands. They were called Sita lands. A separate department was created to protect these lands called Sita Adhyaksha. Adhyaksha. Department, head of the department. Sita is the crown land who look after these lands. During Mauryan time period. Now the tradition must continue in the later time period also. Now here come to this Gupta time period. I have given district officers sold land to individuals. Continue that statement. These individuals who bought the land by paying cash, gifted to Brahmanas and other monks. Gifted to Brahmanas and other monks. So this shows individual ownership. There was collective ownership as well. There was collective ownership as well. Like entire village utilize the common lands. Like pasture. Even today also, in a village if you go, some land will be common for that today we call panchayat lands. That means government lands. It can be utilized by everyone. Common property. Individual property also there. Common property also there. State property also there. Village. Common property. State ownership of property also there. This how. Then last, ordinary cultivators were called, this land ownership is done, now peasants. Ordinary cultivators were called Krishi Bala, Karshaka. Karshaka, Krishi Bala. Sometimes the state impose or you give next heading, forced labor. Vishti. Also there. Vishti means forced labor. Whenever state requires common people who cannot pay the tax, they can pay their tax through work. That's called Vishti, forced labor. Next one, arts and crafts. This is related to agriculture. Arts and crafts. And when it comes to arts and crafts, the same like post-Mauryan time period itself. Because when it comes to Guptas, before Guptas in post-Mauryan time period, also large-scale industrial activities happened. Same tradition continues here also. Just one map, you already drawn this. Based on clay, do you remember? Terracotta, brick making, pottery making, and when it comes to stone as raw material, based on raw material industries. Different type of artisan activities. Terracotta making, specialization, brick making, specialization, pottery making, specialization. And these people gradually, generations after the generation, they were involving in the same profession, they became jati also. Potter, who make the pottery. And when it comes to stone, different type of sculptures. When it comes to precious stones, bead making. Bead making. Then when it comes to forest, if you take as raw material, then if you take wood, then carpenters. Then if you take animals from the forest, leather, ivory, leather industries. Now particularly the people who are working on leather, they became charmakara. And charmakara, later it became chamar. It became very low profession, and even they were treated as untouchables also. So this is how economically different professions started emerging, and social status. That's why society and economy go together. The profession is deciding their social status also. Then when it comes to agriculture, textiles, weavers, silk making, and metal. When it comes to metal, gold, silver, iron, copper, many things you can keep writing, bronze. Now you see goldsmith, ironsmith. Ironsmith separate profession emerged, goldsmith separate emerged. Gold is very precious, that's why the people who are working in gold, they become high status. So this is how different professions, economy and society also go together. The people who are involving in different professions, their social status also started having implications on the society level. Please note it down. And in the present generation, these professions only turned into MSMEs, small scale industries, medium scale industries, large scale industries. In GS3, that is what you are going to study. Like a large scale iron industries. Okay, now manufacturing centers. In today's language, you will call it as industrial centers. So if you have good industrial center, you will have more employment, more GDP, everything. In map, we will make it so that you will have a better idea. Takshila, Madura. Now you see, old centers only, now becoming stronger and stronger. Some decline, some become powerful. Madura, Ahishchatra, Kaushambi, Takshila, Madura, Ahishchatra, Kaushambi, Pataliputra. Same thing only. In post-Mauryan also we have written same. Some centers became particularly, for example, Chandraketugad. This area became very famous for terracotta center. In map pointing also it was given. Important terracotta art center, Chandraketugad. And now Ujjain.
After finishing this chapter, after finishing this economic conditions of the Gupta, now we will start the regional kingdoms like in Assam and all those.
Yes, we have to specifically deal with Sangam kingdoms and entire Deccan part we have to study. And after that we will start early medieval. So we'll start early medieval.
I was reading the syllabus, for the first time I saw that Assam Ahom dynasty and Lanka. I would read about Lamchit Barphukan
They become popular or important after Guptas. So from Guptas, regional, eastern part and northeast, eastern, south already from Sangam age itself it started, and they are going to become more and more powerful. Particularly when northern Gangetic plain becomes weak, Deccan and south becomes more powerful.
Because I think in this year, the 2023 paper, which is not been the optional paper, I think question will come about this happen bias because we have just recently celebrated about some birth anniversary and that's it also coming.
Yes. Warrior. Warrior from Assam, home kingdom. Yeah. So these are some of the important centers. Next you give trade. Trade. No need, no need. You will come to know whether it is generally if the important center is there, then you will identify whether it is Madura or Chandraketugad or Pataliputra likewise. Now trading activities. Initially during Gupta time period, trading activities flourished due to Roman Empire. Same story in post-Mauryan time period also. When Roman Empire was there, we were trading with the Roman world. In the initial phases of Gupta Empire, Roman Empire was still powerful. And as long as Roman Empire was powerful, still we were trading with the Roman Empire. But after some time, Roman Empire itself got disintegrated. It became Western Roman Empire and Eastern Roman Empire. It became Byzantine Empire. And Western Rome, it became the successor of the main Roman Empire. And this Eastern Roman Empire, it is the one, it is going to flourish for a very long time. And it is the one which is going to fight with the rise of Caliphate. When Islam is about to emerge, now we are in 550 AD. This is the decline of Gupta period, 300 AD to 550. But this is the region where around 600 AD, Prophet Muhammad is about to become active. And 632 he died, and after that Caliphate became very powerful and they started expanding. Up to Gupta time period, Islam was not there. And these were part of here Zoroastrianism, Sasanian Empire. So we were trading with Sassanids and Roman Empire. After some time, they themselves are going to become weak. And because of this, here also trading activities go down. But by this time already both the west side and East, Southeast Asia also we were trading. Because of Southeast Asian, this is how the Hindu influence, Buddhist influence became very strong in this part. It's like in this land, if any ruler want to establish the authority or the legitimacy, they used to track their lineage from Rama in Ramayana or Mahabharata. When it comes to these rulers, they used to take the lineage from the Indian rulers. So that is how they built even very powerful empires also in this part, and very, very big temples also were constructed during this time period after post-Gupta time period. But these contexts, how it happened, because of these trading activities, in this also, trading activities through land also, and during Chola imperialist designs. So gradually all these factors helped the Indian culture reached Southeast Asia also. So whenever it is weak and we were using, both sides we were using, and alternatively, if it is weak, more focus goes to here. If it is weak, more focus to goes here. And through this land also, Central Asia and China, Japan, South Korea, this is how Buddhism reached. So we were connected always, this one, and this interaction also there. That's why in this part, both Indians plus Chinese, you will see this combination in this part of the world.
Sir, one thing, sir, the Chinese mainly are communists, right? And so communists are mainly atheists. Communists mainly
Okay.
atheists, they do not believe in any religion. So then how did Buddhism flourish in China?
Communism is, this is only 1950 phenomena.
So sir, now still I'm saying, how is my Buddhism still flourishes in China?
They did not completely eradicate everything. It is not possible. Even more ruthless dictators history has seen. These religions were not crushed by even more ruthless people. The communist state is not that kind of ruthless what we are. But in the present day parameter, in comparison with other countries, it appears like more ruthless. But if you compare with historical dictators and historical autocratic rulers, and they were more deadly people, more ruthless, and they used to exterminate completely some people if they don't like. But that kind of thing did not happen even after the communism became the main thing. That's why it is flourishing. That is how in every part, for example, India is the best example. India also has seen some kind of dictators, but still the Indianness, Indian elements which are continuing since ancient time, still continuing. So in every society is that. It appears in the present parameter, it appears more dictatorship, but it did not exterminate every part everywhere. As long as you accept the state power, then they won't touch you. So when you question the state, then they will try to do something. That is the same thing. For example, Pushyamitra Shunga. Buddhist literature used to say Pushyamitra Shunga have killed so many Buddhist monks. Then if he exterminated, how Buddhism flourished during post-Mauryan period. And during Gupta people, Gupta rulers patronized Brahmanism. But during Gupta time period, Buddhism also flourished. In Ajanta caves, Buddhist paintings flourished. Stupas also constructed. Saranath school of art, where Buddhist images were created. How all these are possible? So that is why we see history, we are seeing only from one type of prism, because we got the evidence only to that extent only. So this communist state did not eradicate every religious element. Now when it comes to trading activities, you should have this idea. Then we will see trading activities, internal trade and external trade also. Right, this trade. First, the factors promoted metal coinage. Guptas issued gold coins, largest number of gold coins issued by them. This is prelims question also. When it comes to Kushanas, purest. Gupta's largest, when it comes to Kushanas, purest form. And purest gold coins means they were more flourished, rich people. And when it comes to largest number means, that means more number of people got the access. Two ways. One is more number of people got access, and also more trading activities were taking place.
Gold coins largest in history, what do you mean, sir? Coins were large or only gold coins were large? Or coins made of gold were
Coins made of gold. Large number of gold coins were discovered in comparison with Kushanas, Indo-Greeks or other time period. They also issued silver coins, copper coins, lead coins. So it is like in the present day, it is like a 2000 rupee note. So it is like a 10 rupees note, 100 rupees note. And 2000 notes will not, common people will not commonly use 2000. Common people use lower denomination. That's why silver, copper, particularly copper, lead. When it comes to Satavahanas during post-modern, they used to give Potin, P-O-T-N, copper, silver, lead, Potin, Satavahanas. So the lower the denomination, that means coinage or the currency reached the very common people. Higher the denomination, the coins or the currency reached only upper sections. Lower the denomination, common people also get access to the common currency. So this is how gold coins, silver coins, copper, lead coins. They issued. Then merchant class. Merchant class. Nagara Sreshti, Sardavaha. Few examples from the inscriptions. Few examples of the merchant class. Nagara Sreshti, Sardavaha. They used to involve in the administration of urban administration also. In district board, they were also represented. Nagara Sreshti, Sardavaha, they were also represented in the district boards. So they were, because they were powerful people, merchants, they were having money. In today's parlance, if you have money, you can become MP. So you are represented in the, so you can become a mayor, you can become a corporator, you can become MP, you can become minister. So in those times, merchant class, Nagara Sreshti, Sardavaha, few examples. They were also involving in, they were also represented in administration. Then merchant corporations called Shreni or guild. The guild concept already started, it continues. Shreni or guild. And these Shrenis, later they become Jatis also. For example, all pottery people come together, that becomes one Jati. All goldsmith come together, it becomes one Jati. Ironsmith become one group, become Jati. So these Shrenis, Jatis, many Jatis also emerged due to corporations. For example, all perfume makers become Gandhikas, Gandhi emerged. So likewise. So every Jati will have some kind of beginning, and that might have direct attachment to the economic profession what they are doing. And when religion comes into play, and when these professions by birth, if you associate with one particular person, then that became the evil when it comes to Indian society. Otherwise, it is very fluid. And if you take up another profession, but immediately you may not change the Jati, but your next generation, it after few generations, it becomes separate identity, like a Kayasta. So likewise, we are going to say this.
It was like nowadays, if one business fails, we catch up another business.
Yes.
That time, but later
And it was very slow process at that time. It was not that today we have so many economic activities are happening and at very high speed. But in those times, the speed is very slow. That is why these institutions remained there for thousands of years in our history. Next one. They were having their own customs, own laws. State also recognize their customs and laws. They recognize.
they follow to work of tax, so states would like to.
So state also getting some kind of favor, because if you cover one merchant guild, that means you can cover so many people under it. It respects, it recognizes them, their customs also.
Also, many guild members also used to act as elaborate spy system to Gupta or Maurya. So they used to give valuable information, and they could also create rewards among the people also if the states did not complain.
Yes. So now people also within the members, now state itself is recognizing their customs and laws. People are the members. You can write members. Members are punished according to Shreni laws. So it's like they are getting some kind of autonomy within the state system. Merchant class, merchant corporations also. Then trade networks. Trade network. By post-Mauryan time period itself, trade networks emerged internally. What type of trade? Two important communication channels, Uttarapada and Dakshinapada. The same communication channels continues, road network continues. During this time period also, they utilized trade networks. And ports. Ports also. And when it comes to ports, along with those ports we have seen Sopara, Broach, Sopara. Along with that, now new ports are going to come. Tamralipti, Tamluk, yes, Tamralipti. When it comes to Kalyan in western coast, in addition to the previous ports which were already there. Chawal, CHAUL, Chawal. Next, exports from India. Exports from India, just to mention. India exported to China. India exported to China items such as muslin, pearls, gems, pepper, imports from China, silk, India had traded with Southeast Asia as well, like Java, Sumatra, Bali. South Indian ports, Kaveri Patnam, traded with Sri Lanka, Southeast Asian countries. Spices such as pepper, cardamom, exported from Kerala. South Indians exported both to Western world as well as Southeast Asian countries. Southeast Asian countries. Decline of trade. And this is very common phenomena. Whenever disturbances used to take place, now here, Huna disturbances. Hunas were like Central Asian tribes. They were continuously disturbing in this area. Because of this, land route got affected. And when it comes to ocean route, hello, online students, any issue? Here, Disintegration of Roman Empire. As a result, it declined. Decline of trade. Due to Huna attacks, and disintegration of Roman Empire, the demand reduced due to disturbance in the trade networks. Mandsar inscription. Mandsar inscription. Mandasaur. Clear? In Madhya Pradesh. Inscription gives the details about migration of silk weavers from Gujarat to Madhya Pradesh. From Gujarat to Madhya Pradesh. This shows here silk weavers, they were there in the coastal area. They were getting more employment, they were exporting, they were getting more opportunities. Now when they got less opportunities, they migrate to the interiors. Now interiors represent the agriculture. They have taken other activities there. Some might have taken other artisan activities, some might have taken agriculture also. This shows the decline of trade and people were migrating to the other areas also. This inscription gives the details. You want to? We are done. We were done. So this is how declining of the trade. We are done with this economic part. And tomorrow we will do society as well as art and culture. Tomorrow we will finish Gupta Empire. So these are the various aspects of economy. Now this economy, now in post-Mauryan, trade flourished. When it comes to Guptas, in the initial part, trade flourished, but in the later half, decline. Now the decline is going to continue gradually in the early medieval time period. We are going to see more and more dependence on the agriculture. At least in northern and central India, more dependence on agriculture. The feudal elements are also become more and more powerful. But when it comes to Deccan and South, the trading activities are going to become very powerful. That is why if we say the rise of feudalism in India, it is not the entire Indian context. We have to specify the geographic location. This is how various economic dimensions of Gupta time period. Sanju, Anubhav, Kanchan, did you get this economic, various aspects about the economic activities? All right then. So today we will stop here. Tomorrow society, and society also same thing, like continuation of the previous trend only. and art and culture. Art and culture also some elements will continue, some new examples we will get. And with tomorrow, Gupta Empire will finish. Another 3-4 days, we will finish the ancient, core ancient part. We will start early medieval part. Okay, Sanju? And after ancient, I will give you few questions. Test I will give you. You write the test. Okay, Sanju? Okay then.